Look, the workers that we have raised the profile of Kfcb.
Correct.
Look at the workers who are working here.
Right.
They are not my children. They are Kenyans.
Correct.
The Jubilee government should be so happy that there is a CEO where during COVID is advertising jobs,
right,
is creating programs,
right,
is bringing money,
right,
and ensuring that there is safety or there's job security for the staff. They're not my children, but they are Kenyans. They are feeding their families. And we are therefore contributing to the government of the day. We are contributing to the economy. If KFCB is doing well, that trajectory should be supported to continue. Because there is a likelihood that you bring changes and it collapses. And I'm not saying that I'm the only CEO who can make KFCB stand. But you know, you don't change, if it's working, you don't change it because of technicalities.
Right.
I think the changes should come where the law is broken or performance is wanting and there is integrity issues. I think that's a conversation that we should invite. But if it's about technicalities, then why don't we look at the jobs? Why don't we look at the... Right now as we sit here, I have paid every contractor. Anybody who has supplied anything, including this water to KFCB, they've been paid. I don't have pending bills.
Right.
You have many organizations and ministries are holding money.
Right.
That should be going to the Mwananjuko and make this government look good. But we praise mediocrity and we condemn performance.
Right.
And I tend to think because I've gone to school well, and because God brought me here, not a human being, I will live when he wants.
Wow.
And I fought many battles. This is not the first one. This is the easiest for me. Let me tell you. And number two, I don't worship the job.
Right.
I'm bigger than the job.
Right.
Number two, I was not brought here by a man.
Right.
Because if somebody brought you here and they died, or they were sacked, then you're in trouble.
Right.
The man who brought me here has not died.
He's alive.
He's alive.
He's alive.
He's alive.
And he keeps you here as well.
He's alive. He watches over the sparrow.
Right.
The birds of the air.
It cannot fall on the ground.
If he takes care of the sparrow and feeds it, the birds of the air who cannot plan. What about me, Minimezoma?
How much more?
How much
more
does he care about me? Niko na ushuhuda kidogo. At least I'm not an angel.
Correct.
But at least I can say I am committed to support and to do something that will contribute significantly to the performance of the government of the day, performance of the ministry, performance of this sector. I'm doing a lot. I'm trying, you know, I'm trying. Of course, not without opposition. And you'll never be, if you see everybody praising you,
there's something wrong.
Yeah, something's very wrong. Yeah, I like it when I'm being fought.
And I've seen even the art industry also sometimes also giving their opinion about you as well.
Yeah, I mean, they're the people I deal with. Those are my stakeholders. So it's okay for them to critique me. It helps me. It makes me a better CEO and makes me a better person. So criticism first is not bad. Even the opposition and resistance is not bad. What is bad is criticism that violates your rights. That I fight. Oh, yes. That I fight.
And
but if it's criticism that is based on hapa umekosea, hapa umekosea, it helps you to correct yourself. You keep becoming better when you are corrected, when you make mistakes and you're corrected. When because sometimes even you find places where you might have also broken the law. And they say either comply or explain. If you explain and the explanation is wanting, then you pay the consequences. And we must be committed to be people who are well, our loyalty is to God, to the government of the day, but also more to the values and the integrity that we stand for.
Absolutely.
Self-discipline. Because if you're not disciplined as an individual, if you're not working hard, you know you can do a lot of shortcuts in the government. You can be coming here to warm the seat. And you can also...
And not delivering the service.
Sit pretty and not deliver the service. If you're not innovative as a CEO, if you're not thinking outside the box, if you are not... because what keeps me awake every night is, for example, how can we grow the film industry? but grow it within the bounds of morality.
Correct.
So that the stories that are projected in programs like yours
Yep.
are stories that of Goldmine.
Right.
Stories of our heroes.
Right.
Stories of patriotism,
Right.
resilience,
Right.
teamwork.
Right.
People who didn't have it all cut out for them,
Right.
but they worked hard.
Correct.
They made it.
Yep.
Through toil, sweat, and blood.
And we're able to profile
And
that
they were
gem.
resilient, and you
Right.
can profile them.
Correct. Correct.
That the stories are not just stories of corruption.
Right.
Kenya has very beautiful stories.
Yep.
And I want our media to focus on those success stories, on the gold mines, and there are many.
And it's exactly
not
why we
just
do
me.
this. It's actually
there are
why we do
civil
this.
servants who work so hard.
Absolutely.
I know ministers who are so committed.
And not well
PSs,
celebrated yet.
Fellow CEOs, and they are not
They are
celebrated.
not celebrated.
Look at some of the transformations in the Ministry of ICT.
Right.
People don't focus on them. I saw the CS the other day talking about the worth of online business
And it's
and the
humongous.
amount of money
And the opportunity it
transformation that
creates.
ICT sector has brought.
Absolutely.
For example.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
And these stories are not told. The government, the ministers to struggle to tell them. They should be the headline.
Absolutely.
Not the shenanigans of who was denied a passport
Right.
or who
Right.
didn't travel where.
Yep.
We focus so much on the side shows
Right.
at the expense of real development.
Right.
And in the process, so many projects done by the government, success stories, programs that are done by government to change the lives of the people, the big four agenda, the vision of the president.
Right.
You sit one-on-one with some of these leaders. You listen to the president and you feel like crying. The man has a vision. The man is committed. The ministers, I sit with them and you listen to them. And you find, why are these stories not being told?
Right.
Why are we not focusing on this?
Right.
This is why I am so committed to ensure that film and broadcast content
Right.
talk about our culture, our values, our success stories.
Right.
And this obsession with side shows, with negativity
Right.
is minimized.
Right.
Doesn't become the dominant story
Right.
for us.
Right.
We have the stories of the gold mine and
Right.
the success stories.
Right.
So we are starting programs like now there's one in KBC called Know Your Government.
Right.
You know,
Yep.
inside your government.
Right.
We are starting things like this. We want programs that talk about our culture, our values, our heroes. And these heroes are in the village.
Right.
But they should not just be heroes of cutting corners. They should
Right.
be people of integrity.
And
we
values.
must value values and integrity and
Right.
morality.
Right.
And build a foundation where the government does not have to watch you
Yep.
for you to do the right thing.
Because you're values driven.
You are values driven.
Right.
You are self-disciplined.
Right.
You know you don't have to be forced to obey the law.
Right.
You can have a constitution, but you need to have the spirit of constitutionalism.
Within yourself.
Lawfulness.
Right.
The commitment to do the right thing, even
Right.
when nobody's watching. That is
Right.
the definition of integrity.
Correct.
So this is what works keeps me awake at night, asking myself, shall we reach a point where we shall be so proud of our culture?
Right.
We shall be like Nigerians,
Right.
the Nollywood.
Right.
The
Which has become
Niger
big.
movies,
Right.
which has
Right.
become the biggest
Global,
industry
actually. Right.
in Africa.
Right.
And now they are going global, they're
Yep.
in Netflix, and they're selling their culture, principally.
And you know, Doctor, this is exactly part of why we need to have this conversation. Kenya is full of a lot of gifted talents out there. Young men, young women who are able to do fantastic stuff. And you sit at KFCB. And my question to you is more of a directional question. How do we then create the infrastructure and the framework that allows them to thrive on their talents? And they know what support they can get. So that then we can create a Nollywood, as you said.
Absolutely.
So then they are gifted guys. And we keep the sideshows away and say, here is our talent, here is our giftings. This is how we monetize it, this is how we support it, this is how we then guide it.
It begins with the structures.
Right.
You've got to lay down a legislative framework.
Right.
I did that. We were amending Cap 222. And we had gone very far. In fact, the clerk of the National Assembly had put in the paper, because people say this law is archaic, it's draconian. I started the process of changing it.
Right.
People are now even blaming it on me
Right.
for using it to have a new contract.
Right.
And I'm saying, but I wanted to change that.
Right.
And I was overruled.
Right.
I took it to Parliament myself.
Right.
Spent a lot of money, because I knew unless you change the law, align it to the new to the dynamics of technology, the new constitution, and so on, and lay a strong legal framework that is supportive, not an impediment to the industry. You cannot progress. So you need to have a proper legislative framework where the law supports the growth of the industry. Number two, you got to build networks that will bring money, that will mentor the artists, that will open opportunities for them. So we're opening up this across Africa. In 2019, I spoke at the Nollywood Film Festival as the chief guest, and I gave the keynote speech about African content and how we can harmonize and tell our stories. I was the chief guest in Hollywood Film Festival in California in December 2019, invited by Hollywood Film Festival, by the chairman himself. And I spoke about these things, how African stories are being told. The question was, how can we merge, get or use Africa to turn around the stories, because our stories have been stories of famine, civil strife, corruption, and so on. The untold stories, the untapped stories in Africa, and use Hollywood as the market to tell those stories. So that Peter Nyong is a success story, and so on. So creating networks, exposure and opportunities for artists, so that we have more Lupita Nyong'os, we have more people going to the Oscars and so on. And then coming to the issue of values. What kind of stories are we selling? Because it's okay to have stories in the Netflix, but what are the stories? How do they help Africa? How do they reflect on Africa? So that as we use the new ICT platforms, and that's what C.S. Musheru was talking about, the infrastructure and the e-commerce and how much money it can bring, it's also the content that we are selling there. How many stories about Africa, about Kenya, are on Netflix, and how do they reflect on our values? So that is our culture we are selling. And there's cultural diplomacy, and we are signing co-production programs with other film producers, with Hollywood, with Bollywood, with Hollywood, and we are able to market our products, do co-production, sign production treaties, expose our artists, create market for our products, and so on. Those are the things we are working on right now. I mean, I had to chase you out to meet a former PS. One of the most vibrant brains that we have in this country. So that, because we are discussing the same. Before you came, I was meeting with a group of artists. Some of the serious guys who propelled Churchill show to where it is. They have been involved in most of the local production on Citizen TV. And now we are discussing, how do we create financial management and literacy for our artists, so that we mentor them, we open opportunities, but we also teach them how to manage their money when they make it. And then we come to the issue of, how do we fight piracy? How do we open the space and teach our people to do productions that sell? And how do we ensure that they can utilize ICT platforms to market their products, to make their films and sell them in TikTok, in YouTube, and monetize on that content and fight piracy, and ensure that they also get what is rightfully theirs. I ask myself the question, why should some platform take 75% of money collected from Sikiza tunes, for instance? Okay, why should CMOs be ripping off artists and sending them 1,000? You know, people change these stories and make them look like regulation, and what Kfcb is doing is the problem. We are not the problem. Artists are not making money. They will make more money if there is a fair playing ground, if we fight piracy, if we streamline policies on royalty collections and distribution, and ensure that CMOs play by the rules, collect and distribute 70%, and only use 30 or less for administration. It's now the other way around. They spend 70% on administration and only distribute 30%. So someone is getting 1,000. There is no prudent management of royalties, and we don't pay much attention to intellectual property. Those are the things that we are trying to do. And then building partnerships to identify and nurture talents while promoting moral responsibility. So what did we do as KFCB? We signed an MOU with the Ministry of Education under the Kenya National Drama and Film Festival Secretariat, so that from ECD all the way to university, every year we have a competition or a platform where we can identify and nurture talents from the early age and teach them the rules of the game, that content does not have to be dirty, to be sexualized, objectification of women, and all this obscenity to sell. That they can do intelligent, clean content. And clean is not gospel. I'm not just saying they become gospel artists. No, I'm saying they do content that we can watch as a family. content that speaks about our culture, about our stories, content that does not have foul language or obscenity or extreme violence and so on. This is what we want to teach them. So through that program, we changed the rule book, we trained the adjudicators and trainers, and we have now directors of films and concerts who are being trained from the ECD all the way to university. And then we are keeping a data bank, a database of those stars. Before, and when we took over 3 years ago, this event was on its 60th birthday, anniversary. 60 years.
Right.
And other than the likes of Honorable KJ, Walter Mongare, and a few, you cannot tell quite where these enormous the stars and talents who came from the National Drama and Film Festival went all these years.
Right.
Majority of them get lost on the way. Or they were not mentored, they were not followed up, there were no opportunities given to them.
Correct.
And you cannot give opportunities to people and there is no data bank. You can reach to them. After the competition, they will do a state concert before the president. And na tunacheka, na tuna enjoy. But after that, they go to secondary school or they go to university and they are not structures to absorb them. So now we are starting something. We are opening up. We are getting into partnership with Broadway in the US. We are opening up now with players who in the industry who can train them on financial management. And we are now, through Cinema Mashinani, because we acquired Nairobi Cinema here, to provide a platform for them to showcase their talent.
Which you have actually renovated.
Yes. And now we have gotten support from the government. It's going to be state of the art. And then because of COVID, we said instead of investing most of the money in brick and mortar, in the building, we actually buy cinema mobile units with sound system, lighting, and editing suites that we can travel to the villages and help our young people to do their productions right in the village. But also we have screens that can show that products to the villages so they can be done in vernacular, in mother tongue. And this way, we are going to bring up stars. So through Cinema Mashinani...
Fantastic stuff you're saying there. And my question will be, I'm imagining the group in Kaloleni in Kilifi somewhere. And they have been acting and doing their stuff together. And they hear the wonderful vision you have. At what point shall the two mesh and we say, now we are living a reality where we can feel the power of the infrastructure, the power of the collaborations that you're doing, and the power of all these wonderful things.
You know, my team was in the Lam Film Festival last weekend. I sponsored a team that went to Lam. Our regional manager for Nyeri, Jane Fanaseria, was the guest there with our support. And we have built creatives. There's a hub in Mombasa. What do we call that thing? We bought them equipment. Swahili Pot. Swahili Pot. We bought them equipment. Cameras and screens and so on. And we are supporting them. We wanted them to become a place where creatives can meet. It's a very nice place.
And production can get
where the undersea cable terminates. So it has very high internet. Very nice place. Very high speed internet. Because it terminates just there. And that Swahili Pot has become a credo for and a platform for nurturing talents. And then we are supporting the people run the hub. We are supporting through Cinema Mashinani programs from across the country. Remember, Cinema Mashinani and the National Drama and Film Festival bring people from across every part.
The breadth of the country.
When we started Cinema Mashinani, our first film called Simale was done in Isiolo. And we were going to our homestead. What are your full names?
Dennis Njau.
Dennis Njau. So you come to the home of Bwana Njau. Your wife, your children, kuku, nini, masufuria. We make that a scene for shooting. And we compensate them 15,000 for using your homestead. And you, who has never acted a movie, we tell you cut means this, and we make that become part of the crew. And within a film called Simale, or National Cohesion, we started picking themes that are nationalistic, that are also the agenda of the government, so that we can get the society to understand, to break down these complicated, sophisticated concepts of national development. We take them through Cinema Mashinani in their language, in their within their environment.
Local community.
And using local communities.
Right.
Because you are famous in your place, Bwana Njau. People will identify with your story better than me.
Right.
If it was an actor called Mutua from Mukambani.
They may not pay a lot of attention.
But when it is Njau,
he's a local, he's one of our own.
They know his father, they know his home,
right.
They have seen him grow, become a success. They are likely to identify. So that's what we are doing.
Right.
Cinema Mashinani is films by the people for the people.
Right.
And then because of these screens that we are buying now, and we have already advertised.
Right.
We did a public tender.
Right.
We are now evaluating. We evaluated, we have given it out.
Right.
We are rolling it out.
Right.
It's not a story, a fake story.
So that's now in motion now.
That goes to the villages. I've told you we did Isiolo. Our people are in Lamu. We are supporting Swahili Port in Mombasa. Our guys in Narok, we are everywhere.
So if I'm having this production team somewhere in Nyeri, I can reach out and say, this thing that is coming to Mashinani, come and help us to record.
We are hoping if we get the support of the government in the next 5 years, we are going to change this country.
Right.
And the way to change this country is to remove films and the creative economy from the town centers to the wananchi.
Then you begin to pick talent from...
If you look at the media, how SK Mashere is making money is through vernacular stations, through Inoro, through this Ramogis, yes, to target people. And that's how, and we were saying, as we do this, we'll get Safaricom to advertise because we are reaching out to people in the village, and we are also promoting government programs and messages in the village using these screens and mobile cinemas. So it was not just, we could have just renovated the building and do that thing in Nairobi. But also the reason we got Nairobi Center, Nairobi Film Center, formerly Nairobi Cinema, was because of the centrality. Someone can come from Kitale, land at the bus station, and walk here, do their production and go. So we buy production equipment, state of art. Somebody can come from Nyeri, somebody can come from Isiolo. They come, alight at the bus station. We are looking at the centrality. So that it's easy to walk in. Do your thing, and then we create one-stop shop where you license the production, classify the content, na mtu anaenda na content yake. Anaenda anachukua basi pale chini, na anarudi kwao. Ama anaenda SGR, na anarudi kule ametoka.
Let's walk through that again, because Daktari, that is very powerful. So effectively you're saying, we are this drama club somewhere in Karatina.
Yes.
Or in Busia.
Yes.
And we have done our production, we are clear how we want to run the script.
Yes.
We can board an Otange bus. Land right here in town.
Yes, yes.
Walk right here to the new location. I mean, you've just...
Nairobi Cinema.
Nairobi Cinema.
Yeah.
And they walk out to the
to support talent, create a platform where they walk in, like you have said, take a bus from wherever, come, do your thing here. In fact, we are going a stage further. Remember, there are those guys who used to do, actors who used to do the set books in school. Remember, it was very popular?
Yeah.
Some time back, because of riots in school, they were stopped from going to act in school. So we said what we are going to do, we'll give them a home. In Nairobi Film Center, Nairobi Cinema.
Nairobi Film Center,
Then we'll be advertising. So a school from Kwale is coming and we do a schedule. Another one is coming from wherever. They come here and they get the entertainment. But while they are here, they can also visit the National Park. They can visit Parliament and Senate and the museum and so on. And they can be able to see. So those visits, when they are coming, they also come and watch a set book. Okay? And we have a schedule. So when this place is fully renovated and in shape, it will be so busy. And it will be supporting talent. But we are also, besides the hardware, we are also interested with the software.
But just before you go to the software, and you're complementing this with the mobile vans that are also going out there.
Yes, we say now we can also take it to the people. We may not have enough to go to all the counties, but the little that we have, we are purchasing some mobile vans that will go to the county.
And can do now production
keep coming from Isiolo, we go to Isiolo and we stay there. And the production, we are showing them in the market. So that's why I told you Cinema Mashinani is films by the people, for the people.
Wow. Let's go to part 2 of that. The second challenge, and I think you talked about it, is a question of monetizing talent.
Yes.
We have now come, and or maybe the van founders in Isiolo, we have actually recorded ours and now we have a product. The question of monetizing. How is Kfcb then helping these young guys, gifted, having recorded, how do they monetize this?
The challenge that we have had was the resistance, because people were trying to push us into a corner, that your work is regulation.
Right.
Why are you involved in all these things?
Right.
And we're telling them you cannot regulate in a vacuum.
Right.
Because we are the ones who issue the licenses, we get the scripts. It's good to impact those scripts from that point.
Correct.
So that one, they know if you do a script to make a film that will be restricted to over 18, okay?
Yep.
Only.
Yep.
And is not suitable for under 18, you are cutting off a huge market.
Right.
The market that is that drives economies is the market that is family driven and focused on children and women.
Right.
Products that sell.
Right.
Anybody manufacturing any product, they think about family. Is it consumable? Is it consumed by the wider public?
Right.
And the wider public, for example, in terms of films and entertainment, is the family.
Right.
Something we can watch together. So it must have less classifiable elements.
Right.
So our idea is to teach them and coach them.
Right.
And that's why I ended this meeting the whole morning.
Right.
With the guys who are going to, and we are giving this facility. Now, remember, with COVID, we are now offering this facility for free to those people. No, the auditorium.
Oh, the auditorium.
It is 850
Seater.
capacity.
Right,
yeah.
Right.
Meaning, like now the group will be hosting on September 10th.
Right.
They are 250.
Right.
So they fit there so well.
Right.
We have marked the seats.
Right.
Don't sit here.
Right.
We have kept
with all the
distance,
COVID protocols.
the 1.5 meters.
Right.
With all COVID protocols.
Right.
It's sanitized, fumigated,
right.
and everything.
Right.
Okay?
Yep.
Enough ventilation and everything. And we are providing that, and we are bringing experts. That's why I was meeting with the former PS,
right.
who is a lawyer, and she also understands the issues of labor. That's her speciality. She was the PS for labor, and she has deep understanding of these things. And she'll be among the people who will be speaking there.
Right.
And then we are bringing experts, someone who has been in the Wall Street.
Right.
And they started similar programs in Zambia.
Right.
Will be talking to these artists.
Right.
And then want to get them into groups.
Right.
And teach them financial discipline.
Right.
But also, we are looking at how can Kfcb put some money there somehow that will support projects. We can't give individuals money. We are not a microfinancing credit institution.
Yeah.
There is no structure like that.
Yep.
If they want that, they will go to the ways of funds, to the youth
equities.
enterprise fund and so on.
Right.
But for us, the way we did Simale in Isiolo, we hired a producer like Bonanjao. We hired a producer and went there and did the job and produced a film called Simale.
Right.
So we're saying, suppose we say we want to aim at doing 5 films that can compete at the Oscars.
Right.
These films must be about African stories, Kenyan stories.
Right.
The flora and fauna, the rich cultures, the Mekatililwa mensas, our resilience, our values, our hard work.
Right.
And they are based on that, but they are taught in a way that is very, very nice, and you laugh, but at the same time you enjoy the production. And we support those programs. The moment we pick, like, we spent about 4.5 or thereabout in with that Simale.
Right.
If we give you that money, it is not going to gel. If we put it in competitive or whatever procurement procedure, and we identify you, there will be money for the actors.
Right.
There will be money for you as a producer.
Right.
There will be money. There will also distribution and so on.
Yep.
If we did that and we support 5 in a year, in another 5 years, how much impact do you think we'll have created? And while we are doing that, we are teaching these people financial management, literacy. We are giving them mentorship. We are keeping the database. We are exposing them. So if there's there are some or those films, they are entered in the Cannes Film Festival. We support them to go so that they get exposure. They also get a market. I'm thinking there will be huge impact. So monetization of the content must include all those aspects from the creation itself.
Correct.
That's why I'm saying, if you bring us a film here and it's about gay, so how many Kenyans want to watch gay films? So we're telling you, my friend, ni mzuri, unaweza ongea story yako, lakini nani atakuwa naona, because watu wengi watakondemn.
Correct.
And the Kenyans are so judgmental.
Right.
So the moment we say it's a gay film, watu kwanza watasema it's against the law, bona Kfcb imekubali. Number 2, you have put people off. There could be some people who will watch it, but majority are not watching. And if it's not for the majority, if the person doing this water, the people doing lotions and sabuni, they know the market is the family. The market is women and children.
Right.
Why do you want to make films about gayism? So
your biggest encouragement is that as you then involve in this industry, try and target the family, become family friendly, play in a space
honestly,
where the market is just that huge.
Even Hollywood.
Yep.
The films that sell, and they could have classifiable elements that we see here as obscenity,
right.
But their culture allows.
Right.
Their culture allows F words and so on.
Right.
But the target, you target the market, you got to understand the market. So when, from the day you are doing the script, you have to do it with the money in mind. And for it to make money, you must think about distribution,
right.
You must think about marketing,
right.
You must think about the rating, because the classification of a film determines the market. And serious people, and we interact with them abroad. There is, is it PG, is it GE, PG? And they want films around GE and PG.
There's a big demand around that.
That's what sells.
Right.
Let me tell you. That's what sells anywhere in the world.
Wow.
Wakanda forever.
Right.
Films like those that made global money.
Right.
Niambie film ambayo iliuza, ambayo kazi yake ni fornication, cheating, insulting government.
The family is a big marketplace.
You want a film that you can watch with your family,
absolutely,
don't you?
Absolutely.
You don't want a film that you will go and watch with your wife in the bedroom.
Yeah.
Unaona wawili mmejificha. You don't want
unataka mkae mezani.
Film mkae na mnacheka pamoja.
Mnakula popcorn pamoja.
Yeah.
Kabisa.
Those are the films that we sell. That a family can come to Nairobi Cinema and watch a movie.
Right.
Watch a movie together.
Right.
But now if I have to be careful. Hey, watoto wangu wasiende cinema. Cinema siku hizi kuna filamu mbaya. And that's what we were getting.
Correct.
That's what the complaints we were getting.
Right.
About some of these theaters.
Right.
So when we came, we regulated them and we told them, kuna mambo kama haya. All the films showing in any cinema theater must be approved.
Right.
By Kfcb.
Right.
And they are so compliant.
Right.
And we are telling them now, go for the ones, even the ones that are being launched from Hollywood, go for the ones that are going to be good for the market.
Right.
Sasa ubaya, how watu wanaenda films called 50 Shades of Grey. Have you watched that thing? 50 Shades of Grey.
Right.
50 Shades Darker.
Yeah.
Unajua hiyo film huwezi iona wewe mwenyewe. Unaonanga unazima.
Yeah.
Baya sana.
Kabisa.
I
remember you even banned it.
Sio hata mapepo. Ni mapepo kuruka. Mapepo imezima.
Juu ya mapepo ingine.
Yes. Hata huwezi watch.
Yeah.
It's not even about sex.
Right.
It is sex that is demonic.
Right.
Sasa ni ya nini? Ni ya nini? How much money do they make? Now you tell me that there is money in sex. And I'm like, okay. Me, I want films that I can watch with my children. There are some perverts who want that. And there's a market for adult productions like those.
Right.
We are not saying you don't do it.
Yep.
But why don't you target the market? You don't just make films. You see, it's like the media. Media houses do not collect stories for themselves. As mimi nimefurahia hii story yangu.
It's for the audience.
You enjoy as a journalist when your story is being talked about by the audience.
Right.
You do stories for the audience. Sasa our filmmakers must film with the audience in mind.
Right.
Who is the audience? And the audience is the king. It's not the content. It is the audience. So we must, when we are talking about monetization of content, we must think about the audience as having the final say.
Yep.
And that's why we are collaborating with CA to say, under the programming code, let us have regulations that promote watershed, period, so that we protect the family and protect children from exposure to harmful content.
Right.
But let the war not be on protecting. You see that protectionism agenda is also a cake. And it's also bad.
Right.
We should do it because there is money.
Right.
We should do it because we are enjoying these stories.
Correct.
We should do it because pornography is not the only thing we can sell. Sex is not the only thing we can sell.
There's more.
We have rich variety of stories in Africa that we can tell that are suitable for family.
Right.
And the more we can get family sitting together, mother, father, and children, and watching a film together and laughing together, and creating that, it brings us together.
Right.
So the mzee doesn't have to stay in the theater alone at night.
Yep.
Because
he's not sure what is going. Yeah. They can do it as a family.
Nendeni mkaone film nyumbani.
Kabisa.
Yeah. Now we should promote that and encourage that, and encourage county governments to build theaters where people can be going, and even encourage the government to have a national theater day where we go and watch films and consume our content and enjoy our production and see these stars And then we immortalize them. We build monuments for our stars.
Right.
Like now here in Nairobi Cinema, want to build a wall of fame for the Ojuangs of this world, Mama Kayais, the stars,
the Papa Shirandulas.
Papa Shirandula.
Right.
We want to immortalize them.
Right.
And honor them.
Right.
You know, we don't have to honor them when they die.
Right.
Honor even the
living.
the current,
right.
the living.
Right.
That's what we want to do.
Right.
It's not a war between us and the artists.
Correct.
We're just telling them we got it wrong.
Right.
All of us.
Right.
All of us.
And we must
Government, the artists themselves, the industry. There's more corruption in the corporate sector, in the private sector, than in government. We got it wrong altogether. This greed, where you want to squeeze people's blood. Yeah, as long as you can make profit.
Right.
You don't care about lives, you don't care about values.
Right.
There's no integrity.
Right.
It is you and profit, and we have commercialized everything. These are the things that will destroy this country.
Right.
There's enough money in this country.
Right.
There are enough resources.
Right.
For everybody.
Right.
No kid should be going hungry in
Right.
Kenya today.
Right.
But they are there. There are people who can barely make it. Not because there is no enough money.
Right.
But because some people, 90% of our wealth is in the hands of 10%.
Right.
Okay?
Driving inequalities.
We are so individualistic.
Right.
We are so greedy.
Right.
People want, and why should somebody own 1,000 acres, 10,000 acres, when there's a squatter somewhere, when there's somebody who can barely make it? Why should you have so much money in the bank? What is money for? Why should my neighbor go without food when I am throwing away food? Do we think about these things? These are stories we tell in our films and challenge our conscience, reflect, see ourselves, and see our greed in the mirror so that we can change. Films should influence us to change for the better.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Right. And you make a very important point, because then it does not mean that there is no market for X. But when you view X vis-a-vis what is family, there is a massive market.
Yeah.
And that, like any commercial trader, you want to be where the masses are and where there is general uptake and consumption.
Absolutely.
But I also like the question you talk about changing the narrative of Africa. Because I think whenever we've allowed other guys to talk about Africa, it is a place of war. It's a place of
poverty,
famine. The story of Africa is actually in the hands of other people.
Yeah, they tell you.
Yet we should be able to own our own story.
A dark continent,
right,
devoid by conflicts, civil strife,
right,
poverty.
Right.
And yet Africa is much more than that.
Absolutely.
This is the continent that has the richest, that is richest in terms of resources.
Right.
The stories of Africa are so rich.
Right.
So original, so authentic.
Right.
But they're not told. We only allowed somebody to tell them from their lenses and tell just the twisted narrative to paint us as black.
Right.
And black becomes evil.
Right.
White becomes angelic
and
good.
Right.
Even the bad fellow in the homestead, he's got a black sheep in the family.
Right.
Why can't they be white sheep?
It has remained a black sheep.
We have been demonized even in the dictionary.
Right.
You know?
And we've accepted it, though.
And we have accepted it. And when you challenge these narratives, then people don't even appreciate.
There is a problem with it.
You know, leadership is about vision and seeing further and challenging the narratives that have been taught that are not fair, that are not good. You know, people like like Nelson Mandela, they said no to apartheid.
Right.
Because it's not right.
Right.
Okay? Martin Luther King, they said no to racial segregation in the United States and fought.
Right.
And they won.
Right.
And America is great because of the founding fathers who challenged those narratives. If we keep on with this narrative, hii kasumba ya wazungu, hii kasumba ya, ubinafsi, umbepari, ubwanyenye, and we promote it as the way of life, we'll be teaching your children to amass as much wealth as possible for themselves. Instead of teaching your children to share.
Right.
That there is honor in giving, there is blessing in giving.
Right.
Blessed is the hand that giveth, and sharing with others. Teaching your children that you are cursed if you have enough food and your neighbor, next door neighbor, it should bother you.
Right.
It should bother you if you get into a matatu and there's a pregnant, expectant mother standing. You should give them the seat.
Absolutely.
But our young people, what are we teaching them? Insult government. It's okay. Insult even the president. You don't care, hiding behind anonymity. Use social media to run amok. Share your frustrations, your negativity, your whine. And that's why Ben Okiri, the Nigerian poet, said to poison a nation, poison its stories. And he said a demoralized nation tells demoralized stories. Wow. Whining, negativity. And let me tell you, media is that powerful. Somebody wrote a book about the 7 spheres of influence and identified media, art, and entertainment as the most influential because they are the gateway to the soul. You will never sort out the challenges of humanity, of governance, of human rights, of lawfulness, and energized, happy societies without laying a moral foundation. That's what Malaysia did. That's what Singapore did. That's what the Asian tigers, who are at the same level with Kenya during independence. Now they are first world countries. They laid a moral foundation. The founding fathers were worse than Ezekiel Mutua. They were unforgiving when it comes to moral integrity. If you break the law, if you break the norms, if you are corrupt, there was no tolerance, zero tolerance for corruption. They built a foundation where meritocracy was valued, hard work, honesty were valued as virtues. And if you are honest, you work hard, you are elevated, you are promoted, you are celebrated. What do we do here? We demonize good people.
And we celebrate them.
And we celebrate mediocrity.
Right.
We are a society. I have seen even places, by the way, I've worked in places where the servant, the civil servant of the year was announced and everybody was like, what? What? Is this a joke? No standards. It is cutting corners and mediocrity. And there are a lot of hard-working Kenyans who are never celebrated. And this is a tragedy. Let me tell you, people are not foolish. People know. You can do that because you're in power. You can oppress people because you're in power. But people know the truth. They know it pays to be good. It pays to respect the law.
Right.
It pays to treat others better than you.
Right.
And respect them. I didn't tell you to put on a suit. You could have come with your rugged, the way we met. In fact, me, I knew you as a wayward boy. I'm surprised you can be this smart.
No, this is,
but you knew you were coming to an government office.
Absolutely.
And I'm not saying the suit is what defines you.
Right.
I'm just saying there's a general sense of right.
Decorum and everything
Decorum.
else. Right.
What fits.
Correct.
Yeah, I don't expect you to go and shoot films in the bush wearing a suit.
Yep.
However, there's that sense of you're going to a government office, you're going to interview the CEO.
Absolutely.
And there's a dress code.
Absolutely.
And so on. And I always ask, even when I'm invited to events, what's the dress code?
Right.
So that you dress appropriately.
Absolutely.
And you don't offend people.
Right.
And the thing is, people know. People have a sense of right and wrong.
I'm just curious, Daktari, in all of this, do you think Kenya is almost then, are we far from taking the turn that finally says...
Incidentally, we are getting worse, and it will get worse before it gets better. God forbid. But I fear we may have to go the way of Rwanda, the genocide of 1994, where almost 1 million people died. For people to wake up and know tribalism doesn't pay, your man doesn't pay. Or even the way of Uganda, why Museveni has been in power for that long is because of the suffering they went through, where the army ran amok, and people would come, somebody takes your wife, takes your car, and there's nothing you can do because they are senior people in the army. We are getting there. This is what is happening. This is what is happening. Munyonge hana haki, bwana.
But what is to avert it?
What is to avert it? We must talk.
What
That's
must
why I'm
we
creating
do?
a national conversation.
Right.
That's what I'm telling you.
Right.
Me, I want to be an example. And God, Mungu anisaidie. Mungu anilinde. Because it must be a movement, a campaign. I'm not just doing this for Kfcb. This is what I was when I was the school captain of Tala High School. The school management entrusted me. I became a school captain when I was a CU chairman in a Catholic school. In other words, I was an unlikely candidate.
Absolutely.
In a deep Catholic school, they looked at it, and thank God, values mattered. Integrity mattered. Hard work mattered. And they approached me and told me, even though this is a Catholic school, we have spoken to the board, which is Catholic, spoken to the priest who is in charge of the school, and the teachers, and we have settled on you. So ask them, what about my CU shenanigans?
Seems to be a conflict there.
Yeah.
And they say it's immaterial.
Because that time it mattered. The lines between Pentecostalism
and the Catholicism
and it was deep.
Yeah.
And to do that. But that school, in fact, they negotiated with me. The management told me, we have read your story, even gone to your home. We know how poor you guys are. And we know your vision, and we have heard your testimony and your commitment to change the fortunes. and we want to support you. Because there was a history where school captains were not making it to university. And they told me, we want to support you. So I was given an office.
Right.
I was given an office.
As a school captain?
Yes.
In support?
Yes.
Right.
I even entered special meals.
Wow.
Because I had to supervise boys when they are eating.
Right.
So the caterers would bring me meals to my office.
They know during mealtime you are busy.
The supported me that time.
Right.
Integrity mattered.
Right.
Counted for something. Hard work.
Right.
I think if it was today, ningefukuzwa hata hiyo shule. Okay?
Wow.
And that's how my leadership started. I was thrust into public leadership.
Right.
In Tala High School.
Right.
When I was a CU chairman in a Catholic school,
right.
being entrusted with the leadership of the school.
Right.
Do you know what happened because of that support system?
Tell me.
I would stand at a corner somewhere.
Right.
And the entire school would keep quiet. Just the mention of school captain.
They respected that.
It would go quiet. People would get back to their study, you know, and the place was quiet. And there was order in my days in Tala.
Right.
And we performed very well in extracurricular activities. We did very well in school. During my time, there are people who are judges. We did, we were in Form 6 together. We were so good. We used to go to nationals in football,
right.
in basketball.
Right.
We were a powerhouse in sports.
Right.
We were a powerhouse in drama.
Right.
We were a powerhouse in football.
Right.
We were powerhouse in academics.
Wow.
Because of discipline. And the management entrusted me with that in 1988. And in a Catholic school, they supported a charismatic CU chairman. I must say I was very full of drama because I used to pray for people, even teachers. And I know.
And almost laying hands on them as well.
I used to do it.
You laid hands on them.
Teachers.
Whoa.
I used to go and sort Maritos issues in the teachers' quarters.
While a student.
Nasikia nyinyi mko na shida, mko na ugomvi.
Na mimi nataka nisaidie
nini hapa, naenda na wasomea Biblia. Naambia shikaneni mikono na msameheane.
Are you for real?
I was a bad fellow. But the management saw.
Right.
And they entrusted me and they supported me.
Right.
I made it to university.
Right.
The couple that took me home after I finished and I gave my final speech in Tala High School. The Kitongas,
right.
Ruth and I think it's Michael, her husband passed on.
Right.
That lady called me a few days ago.
Right.
She told me, I'm so proud of you. She has retired.
Right.
I'm so proud of you.
Right.
Remember, that couple, they were not related to me.
Right.
But they arranged that school captain
will come and talk to us.
No, tunampeleka nyumbani na ngari yao. I think there were only 2 or 3 teachers who owned cars.
Right.
The principal, his wife,
wow.
and the Kitongas.
Wow.
And they took me home.
Wow.
And to date, we are connecting. The husband passed on. He was my soil teacher. This lady who retired the other day, I still meet with her and buy her
You must
present.
have been such a force, Dr.
The school principal wrote my leaving certificate.
Right.
My leaving certificate, I think he used all the adjectives you can use. Industrious, hardworking, you know.
Integrity, leadership.
Team leader.
Right.
And inspiration. A school captain was a source of inspiration for the boys. He wrote everything that you can say about a good person.
I'm curious, Dr. What drives you?
I think the day I found the Lord, a personal relationship with God, that it's not about what you get out of it, it's about how it helps other people. I think that drives me. It is, I drive so much satisfaction in seeing someone else happy because of my efforts or because I exist.
Right.
I see my parents and the life they live. And by the way, I told you we are so many.
Right.
But my parents are my parents alone. I don't say there's anybody else to take care of them. I buy them
You
clothes,
take it as your
I
responsibility.
Buy them food, I build for them. They are my parents alone. I support them as such. I visit them. I take care of their medication and their health alone, their food and everything. That's how I approach life. That I'm there alone
right.
to make a difference.
Right.
It may be insignificant, but Wangari Maathai talked about the hummingbird.
The hummingbird.
And the efforts, the small drops of water in a forest that was burning, when the elephants were standing by the side and saying,
and doing nothing and wondering, what can this change?
Yeah,
right.
And despising the hummingbird
right.
in its efforts, back and forth, back and forth, relentlessly, not tiring. And eventually the fire went off. I think that's my role. I'm a hummingbird.
You don't despise the small efforts.
But I believe that my small efforts with God helping me.
Right.
And I've seen God, I've told you.
Right.
When I came to this place, it was not like this.
Right.
Now you can look at this office. People want to come here and become CEOs.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You've transformed the place.
They don't know when I came, there was nothing, no beauty to be on.
Right.
There was no office.
Right.
There was no office. Nilipata kalikuwa kamefika pale tukakona.
Right.
This place we only had 15th floor.
Right.
Now we have 14th floor. We have Nairobi Film Center.
Right.
We have regional offices.
Right.
We have vehicles. When I came here, there was nothing much to write home about.
Right.
We have expanded. Yeah. I think the staff that we have right now, 2/3 came during my time.
Right.
They have my letter.
Right.
I am transforming them to P&P,
right.
all of them,
right.
so that they are not people on contract.
On contract, yeah.
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 We have a huge establishment. There are still vacancies.
Right.
I have to create the income, so that we have a stable staff force that is well paid, well inspired,
motivated to do that.
And for me, the greatest success is that people come to work here not worried about their jobs, not worried about the security of their jobs.
Right.
I want, and my desire is for people to enjoy working for Kfcb, for people to feel good, to find this a family, and to know that their jobs are safe.
Absolutely.
They are not worried. They are not applying for jobs elsewhere.
Right.
I don't lose staff.
Right.
It is
you keep rare. Your staff.
No, I poach.
Right. You're even growing the family.
It would be a very rare occurrence.
Right.
If somebody was to leave Kfcb.
Right.
We are not the best, but there is an ecosystem where people are supported, people are energized. People don't come here to cry. Right. No. Right. Yeah, this is a rehabilitation center. Right. This is where you come when you have a problem. Right. And I think that counts for something.
Absolutely.
It gives me enormous joy.
Right.
Joy untold.
Right.
Joy unspeakable.
Right.
That we are transforming lives.
Correct.
And you don't know what that trickles down to. The trickle-down effect of people having jobs and feeling secure, what this means to their families, and those families and so on, and the contribution to the
becomes a full ecosystem.
Supporting the art industry, the people that we support here. So somebody making a joke, you give them 200,000 as if it is loose change. For me as a CEO, if you give me 200,000, it is something. Yep. If somebody came here and by God's grace, we managed to help them. Yep. I think it means something for
Absolutely. Making a difference in someone's life. Daktari, we celebrate you.
Asante sana.
We absolutely celebrate you.
Asante sana.
And for all the work that you're doing for us, maybe you don't get told thank you enough.
Unajua Yesu aliponya watu 10 mmoja.
Mmoja ndiye alikuja kusema
mmoja tu anatosha.
And I want to say thank
you. That one is Bwana Njau.
That conviction of a better nation, that conviction of a nation of values, that conviction of a brighter and a better nation is not a thing we hear every day.
And you see, even you see how you have come here. Right. So we just bumped on each other. I never met you.
And here we are.
And we bumped on each other. You greeted me. We celebrated one another.
Right.
I bought you guys
lunch. And I must say, you bought us lunch.
I bought you guys lunch. And sikuwajua na mlikuwa na mask.
Kabisa.
But I saw guys with cameras and so on.
Absolutely.
The goodness in people.
Absolutely.
There's so much good in us.
Yep.
Yeah,
we
know where you meet people in public, they don't have to be related
Absolutely.
to you. Ndugu zanguni nini, and it leads to here.
And here we are.
This is what matters. That really shows you how great this country is.
Kabisa.
How great we are.
You give us hope as a country.
Thank you.
We have a lot of goodness in this country. And you're a gold mine, as I said earlier.
Thank you.
You are a real gold mine, and your stories are gold mines.
Thank you.
Well, folks, unfortunately, we've got to bring this to an end. And I hope you've picked enough nuggets, man. To all of you doing art, to all of you doing films. Now, there goes your answers. There are brighter days ahead. And KFCB CEO is working absolutely hard to make your dream come true. Keep working your greatness. Keep working your giftings. Don't quit on you. As we keep reminding you on the Goldmine Show, man, you are a gold mine, and there are institutions thinking about you, structuring it out so that then we bring out the greatness inside of you. Remind you to follow us on the Goldmine Show on Facebook, on YouTube, as well as on Instagram. And keep telling Daktari, man, he's doing a good job. And I say, salute, Daktari.
Asante sana.
Until next time, God bless you, and keep being the greatness that you truly are.